from the creator of the award-winning Remarkable Results Radio podcast. Now listen to a slice of wisdom, a concept, a sentiment, a theory, and maybe even a rant from one of your industry colleagues. For the record.
Welcome, aftermarket professionals, to For the Record. Glad you have found this new show. Carm Capriato here from Remarkable Results Radio and the Town Hall Academy. For the Record brings you personal insights from our industry colleagues. It is a short yet focused opportunity for a rant, a riff, an opinion, or even a perspective that may just align your thinking in a new way. In today's For the Record, episode number 2 is Ron Ipach, co-founder of Repair Shop Coach. He's an automotive service marketing specialist that has studied all types of marketing and has examined all the results. Ron is going to share his thoughts on email marketing with you. The views and opinions expressed are those of my guest and not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the author, sponsors, associates, or affiliates of LSTN Media, LLC. For the Record is sponsored by Remarkable Results Radio, the aftermarket's premier podcast and think tank, where the stories and the lessons empower you. Find the talking points for Ron's rant and a link to his previous episodes at remarkableresults.biz/F002. Now here's Ron Ipach for the Record.
My name's Ron Ipach. I'm the president of Repair Shop Coach, and people call me Captain Car Count because I focus 100% on marketing all the time. And today, I'd love to tell you about why email is destroying your business. Let's talk about that. Most people are now using email instead of using direct mail because it's easy, it's quick, it's cheap. Everybody knows how to do it. And if you have an idea, you can just write something up and then click a button and boom, it's gone. It's so much more convenient right now than sticking a good old postcard in the mail that everybody's abandoned the things that are actually working in favor of just using email. So when I talk with prospective clients or shop owners when I'm doing a speech, I ask how many of them are staying in contact with their customers, and, all the hands go up, and I say, how many of you are, all you're doing is staying in contact with your customers by sending them an email, and all the hands go up, or most of them, I should say. Some are doing more than that, but most, they raise their hand and say, now, do you realize that you're not staying in contact with the overwhelming majority of them? Now, let me explain. Let's say you have 1,000 people in your database. Well, most shop owners and most businesses across the board are not going to have accurate email addresses for everybody in their database. As a matter of fact, if you go into your shop program, you'll find that maybe if you've been doing a great job, you've got, let's say, 50% of those fields filled in. Okay. Now, did you realize the average person changes their email address 2 times per year? That blew me away. When I saw that, I thought, who the heck are these people? Well, it's because everybody hates getting all that spam, so they get bombarded, so they just change their email. Well, let's look how old those emails are in your database. Okay, so unless you're militant, just like, when I go into the dentist office, they hand you that clipboard and say, we're updating our records, and I'm supposed to put my address down and my email and my mobile phone number or my home phone number, all that every single time. I can't go anywhere unless I fill this thing out. Well, most shop owners don't do that. They just say, oh, okay, here you go. They just go right into the data and the data that they have there and assume it's all correct. So let's say we've got 1,000 people in our database. We have emails for 500 of them, but 500 emails does not mean that you're actually going to be able to contact them, because many of those emails, as we just said, chances are already bad emails. Or maybe they're like me. I have one email address that I give everybody that I don't want to give an email address to. I mean, that's just me. I mean, it's horrible for a marketer to say this, okay? This is an admission I'm going to give you, that I have a fake email. What's an actual email address that I never, ever look at, because I don't need to get bombarded by some of these people, these darn marketers like me. So So there's bad email addresses, fake email addresses, old email addresses, and no email addresses attached. So everybody thinks they're staying in contact with all 1,000 people every single month by sending out an email, when we already know 50% aren't getting an email. And I'm going to tell you probably, well, let's just say for sake of the argument, 50% of the email addresses you have are not accurate email addresses. So now we went from 1,000 down to 500, down to 250. So we have 250 real email addresses. Now, remember, everybody raised their hand and say, I'm staying in contact with every one of my customers by sending them an email every month. Now we know that 75% of their database is never getting an offer. They're never getting touched. They're never seeing anything from them. That's hardly 100%, right? But let's dig into it further. We have 250 email addresses. Now, you know as well as I do, we don't look at emails. The average person gets 121 emails every single day, according to the latest study. 121 emails, they don't look at it. Okay. So you may be sending an email to 250 people. Oh, and that's, by the way, if it manages to get past the spam filters. Okay. So let's just say of those 250, let's say 20% get trapped in a spam filter somewhere because you used a $ or the word free or some, those things that, are typical by the spam guys. So now you're down to 200. Well, now you got 200 sitting in an email box that most people aren't going to see. Well, a lot of people say, well, I look and I get a 12% open rate or a 20% open rate. Okay. Well, is it really an open rate that they open, read, and responded to it, or that they just happen to open the email address or the email that you sent? So let me explain how that works. When I'm in front of a room of people, I ask them, how many of you, by show of hands, clean out their email box by clicking the delete button? One time you hit delete, the next one loads, delete, 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 delete. Well, about 3/4 of the hands go up. That's how they clean out their email box. But did you know that just that fraction of a second for that email to load shows that email was open? So everybody looks at it and says, hey, everybody's opening and reading my email addresses. And the reality is they opened it just long enough so they could delete it. So now we've taken the 200 that are actually connecting, and we've whittled it down to, for sake of the argument, 100. Okay, so now we got 100. So now we have a database of 1,000 people that we say we're contacting every month. We're down to 100 that we're contacting every month. Now, of those 100, how many of them are going to need the service that you have? How many of them are actually going to read it and then respond? So here's my beef about email. Email works. And I don't want to say never send out an email, because you can't beat the price and the convenience and the ease of sending out an email. But it should not be your whole marketing strategy, because it only touches a very small part of your database. And I want you to have a clear understanding of what you're doing when you're marketing via email. And don't overestimate the reach of it. Understand how underperforming it really is. So if you want a really good, solid marketing strategy, you need to do more than that. You should send out the email, which is fine. That's great. But you should be text messaging your clients. You should be mailing. Good old direct mail, the majority of it, not all of it, but the majority of it actually gets delivered, which is a whole lot better than the emails. Plus, people don't move every 6 months, so they're not changing their address, their mailing address every 6 months. They are going to stay there much longer. And guess what? If they move, it gets forwarded to their new address, and you get that they've changed their address later on. So again, don't fall into the trap of saying, I'm doing a good job marketing. I'm marketing every single month to my clients and asking them to come in. Because in most cases, you're 100% wrong. Just understand what you're doing and then put together a well-rounded strategy, a series of strategies to stay in contact with your clientele, and you're going to be much, much happier.
Thanks for listening to For the Record from Remarkable Results Radio. Subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast listening app. Find all Remarkable Results podcast content at remarkableresults.biz. Remember, your learning curve never sounded so good.